Sawa eriemu yennyini eyakawungezi tufunye amawulire okuva Sironko nti ettaka libumbulukuse ku kyalo Gusemeji ne litta abantu babiri ate abalala 3 wetwogerera tebalina wakwegeka luba. Okubumbulukuka kw'ettaka lino kuddiridde ekire ky'enkuba eky'amaanyi ekyatonnya okuva akawungezi k'eggulo okuyita mu kiro kyonna. Tugenda kukuwa ebifaananyi ebyo mu mawulire gaffe ag'essaawa 3 oli ku NTV Akawungeezi. Gino gye mitwe mikulu mu galeero. Omuliro gukutte ekisulo e Butambala, omuyizi omu mufu. Emityana, omupakasi asse mukama we lwa mutwalo gumu n'ekitundu. Sejjusa kye nakola, Nandala Mafaabi awera, saagala kukolagana na Mao owa DP. Singo yenunudde ewangudde omulundi ogusoose mu mpaka z'amasaza. Nkwaniriza nnyo munaffe nze Hatman Nalugwa Sekaya. Omwana omu afiiridde mu muliro ogwokezza ekisulo ky'abayizi ab'essomero lya Kibibi Junior School e Butambala. Omwana omulala ali mu ddwaliro apookya n'ebisago bye yafunye ng'agezaako okutaasa muto we eyafudde. Omuliro guno gukutte obudde bubadde bukya olwaleero naye nga ekiguvuddeko ne gye buli eno kikyatankanibwa. Omusasi waffe adduse Zambwa era katuwe byatujjiddeyo.
Sharon Businje ow'emyaka 10 ng'abadde muyizi mu kibiina ekyokusatu yafiiridde mu muliro ogukute ku ssaawa nga 9 ez'ekiro. Businje yabadde mu tulo era banne bwe balabye omuliro ne badduka wabula ye n'asigalamu. Mukulu we w'ekibiina ekyokutaano yagezezzaako okumutaasa wabula teyasobodde era n'afuna ebisago.
Nabadde nzuukuse ne ndaba omuliro mu katanda wansi kati ne ngamba maama nze twafudde dda kati awo ne nkuba enduulu bali bonna ne bavayo kati oli omwana afudde abadde alina muganda we kati omuganda we n'agenda eri n'amuzuukusa bwe yamuzuukusiza n'abeera nga asituse kati oli muganda we oli n'asigala ng'akyebase kati oli ye n'avaayo ffe ne tubeera wali nga tukaaba nga tubuza Sharon aluwa nga Sharon afiiriddeyo.
Ekivuddeko omuliro guno tekinnakakasibwa wabula abayizi bagamba nti basoose kuwulira ekikuba ku ddirisa ng'omuliro tegunnatandika.
Bawudde ddirisa nga likuba ddirisa bwe likubye omuliro gutandise okukola ki okutuntumuka era omwana abadde ku ddirisa yoyo omwana afudde kati kirabika nti omuliro bayizi bookereza kubanga tere sayidi omwana gy'afiiriddeko tebaddeyo ki tebadde masannyalaze waya zonna ziyite eno.
Poliisi ng'eyambibwako Metron abadde akuuma abayizi etandise okunoonyereza kiki ddala ekyaviiriddeko omuliro guno.
Mu ssomero lino eyandibadde alabirira abaana bano yabaddemu koona obulagajjavu kubanga teyasobodde kukola mulimu gwe mu buntu oba mu budde.
Ab'obuyinza mu kitundu baagala essomero lino liggalwa okutuusa nga limaze okuddaabirizibwa wabula abazadde kino bakiwakanya.
Temututwala mu ssala ya kukemebwa kubanga akaseera koolekedde okulaba nti oba oli awo wabaawo siteepu ey'enjawulo eteekingibwa ate nga nagitandiseeko ddanga mwenna embadde mu ndaba mu by'education nga nzize nfuba n'okulaba nti embeera yennyini gye neetaaga yetambulirwamu. Bino
abazadde ssente nga baakazisasula ekyo kiba kinene nnyo era tugenda kusirisaamu olwaleero tukungubagira munnaffe omwana oli nga twegasse ne famire eri n'olunaku olw'enkyalo tunamala okuziika ennaku ezisigadde okusoma kugende mu maaso nga tugezaako okulaba possibility ey'abaana baffe okugenda mu maaso ne programu yabwe ey'okusoma bano abaakoseddwa ab'ekisulo nga bwe relocatinga tusobole okulaba nti essomero terifuna kuyimirira kw'amaanyi.
Ebisulo ebiyidde biri 2 era nga tewali kintu kyonna kitaasiddwawo. Nga buli muntu akyalindirira poliisi okufulumya alipoota ezikwata ku muliro ogw'enjawulo oguzze nga gukwata amasomero n'obutale ne ku mulundi guno essomero lya Kibibi Junior lyayidde mu kiro ekikeesezza olwaleero nabo bategeezezza nti balindirira poliisi efulumya alipoota ekwata ku muliro ogwakutte essomero lino na kumanya ki kwe gwavudde. Deni Lubo Wasava, NTV Akawungeezi.
Mawulire simalungi okuva eruddeeyo webale nnyo omusasi waffe. Emitiyana agavaayo ga mupakasi agambibwa okukkakana ku mukama we n'amutematema okutuusa lwamuse. Ono yagwikiriza mukama we mu nnimiro gye baafunidde obutakkaanya nga bwavudde ku siringi za Uganda omutwalo gumu n'ekitundu. Eno omulambo gwa muzeeyi gye gusangiddwa wabula nga ye omupakasi abadde yamazeemu dda omusubi.
Ebadde ntisa eri abatuuze ku kyalo Nabitete mu ggombola y'ekikandwa bwe bagudde ku mulamu gwa Joseph Kazze okulya ow'emyaka 86 enkya ya leero. Kazze okulyatiddwa omupakasi ategerekeseeko erya Patrick gwe yaleeta okumulimira.
Tuli wano ennaku ejula okututta. Tusaba Mukama Katonda atuyamba abantu b'emyoyo emibi bave mu nsi yaffe. Baadde bamunoonyaako ssente era kye kyamutuusizza ku kino n'amutta n'amwambula.
Yabuzeewo akawungeezi k'eggulo kyokka abatuuze bye babaddeko bamusanze ng'afiiridde mu musiri gwa kasooli.
We yabadde azze okunona amalagala ag'ente nga bwe bamuttidde.
Abadde n'ebisago ku mutwe, amagulu ko n'emikono. Kigambibwa nti entabe evudde ku siringi omutwalo gumu n'ekitundu omupakasi z'abadde abanja era nti abadde aludde ng'amwewerera okumutta lwa ssente ezo.
Kaakati jjo kyava amusaba ssente omutwalo. Kakati kyava amugamba nti mbadde nja kuzikuwa naye wakyaliwo akantu ke tukayanira. Kakati omuzeeyi n'alyoka akwata bw'ati mu nsawo n'ajjayo ssente saazitegedde n'agizzaamu.
Namugamba zino ssente temuli ssente ntono ze ngenda kuwa.
N'abayamu akapapula ka 50 n'akamukwasa. Omuvubuka n'agenda. Kakati n'olwo n'alaka ekiviira ajje mu mwanyi.
Omulambo poliisi gututte mu ggwanika mu ddwaliro ly'e Busujju okwongera okugwekennenya kyokka nga mayitire g'omupakasi tegamanyiddwa.
Kibinyo. Nathan Nandala Mafabi akulira ababaka b'oludda oluvuganya kono okuwabula gavumenti agamba nti ekiseera kyonna agenda kulangirira kabinenti y'oludda lwakulembera empya n'ababaka abanaakulira obumu ku bukiiko mu Parliament. Waliwo endowooza za njawulo ku ky'omukulu ono okufuumuula baminisita b'omu kabinenti ye okuva mu bibiina ebirala ebivuganya gavumenti nti kyokka ye agamba nti teyejjusa kukikola. Obutakkaanya buno buleesewo enjawukana ey'amaanyi mu bakulu mu bibiina omuli UPC, DPCP ne FDC. Mafabi agamba nti asobola okuteesa n'abamu ku bakulu bano nti okujjako Norbert Mao owa DP talina byagenda kwogera naye ku nsonga z'okukulaakulanya eggwanga. Ono abadde ayogerako eri bannamawulire omulundi gwe ogusookedde ddala okuva okulonda kw'ababaka ba Parliament ey'omubuvanjuba bwa Africa lwekwaggwa Sabbiiti ewedde.
Bamemba ba Democratic Party ne Uganda People's Congress bayimirizibwa okukola emirimu mu lukiiko lwa kabinenti ey'oludda olwabula gavumenti n'okuvuganya. Nandala Mafabi akulira oludda luno teyakoma okwo. Banna DP ne banna UPC abagoba ku bukiiko bwa Parliament obukola ku nsaasaanya y'essente z'eggwanga n'akakola ku gavumenti ez'ebitundu. Ebong Maxwell owa UPC ne Florence Namayanja owa DP be bagoba ku bukiiko buno.
Njagala kubobola eti kyenasalawo akisalawo era esigala nga kikiriziramu era njagala kuboolera Abannayuganda nti ekyo kye kinagenderako.
DP has a candidate and our struggle.
Nandala agamba nti mu kaseera katono agenda kujjuza ebifo ebibaddemu bano.
In the nearby future, maybe within 1 week, we shall present a lineup. The earlier we do it, the better. But the consultation is a continuous process which we are working on.
Okusinziira ku Nandala, ababaka ba UPC ne DP bonna si babi. Okujjako abatono bagamba nti tagenda kuddamu kusisinkana nabo kwogera ku byabufuzi kubanga babitegeera bulala.
Tetusobola okugenda ne tusisinkana ne DP ne Norbert Mao ne Mbide okujjako nga batuyise tugende tunywe caayi. Naye bw'obanga tugenda kwogera ku bikwata ku opposition sobola kwogera nabo.
FDC yatwala omusango mu kkooti ya East Africa ng'eyagala kkooti eno etaputa akawaayiro akalagira nti ebibiina byonna ebirina ababaka mu Parliament biba birina okukiikirirwa kyenkanyi mu Parliament ya East Africa. Omusango guno Nandala agamba nti wonna we gunaawulirirwa kkooti n'esalawo ababaka okuva mu Uganda abalondebwa okugenda mu Parliament ya East Africa bagiveemu bajja kugivaamu awatali kuwalira.
Madam Speaker, I ask for your vote.
Badereva abavuga ebyamaguzi n'abasuubuzi okugenda Juba mu South Sudan banyiivu era bategezeza nti ku Lwokutaano lwa Ssabbiiti eno bakusimba motoka zaabwe balinde ekiva mu gavumenti. Bano baludde nga beemulugunya ku mbeera gye bakoleramu e Juba wabula nga gavumenti zombi eya kuno n'eya South Sudan tezibafaako. Balumiriza nti bannaabwe bangi battiddwa na abalala bafiiriddwa buwanana bwa ssente n'ebyamaguzi nga bibagibwako Abasudaani. Bano olwaleero batudde wano mu Kampala ne balangirira nga bwe bagenda okwekalakasa.
Nti senga oli alaba kapa yonna weebudde oba embwa oba embuzi waddembe okufungana n'akubase mu maaso watomedde ente 7 ezimu zadduse ne zigenda ne zifiira mu nsiko twaziriddeko ennyama naye gwero yino zisasula naye ng'ente gye baga nti yatomeddwa yo yali emu nga yeeri awo yemenyesa okugulu naye nga nti 7 gwe wagutomedde gona ne gudduka olina okusasulira ki ente ezo. Omukyala yakwata omwana n'amusindika mu luguudo nga amusindika Munnayuganda amutomere. Incidentally agenda okumusindika ate n'emmotoka y'omusirikale w'e Sudani nayo yali etuuse. Emmotoka ye yatomera omwana. Bwe mutomera n'emutta. Kati oliyo yali avuga omusirikale n'avayo n'abuuza lwaki okoze ekikolwa bwe kiti. N'amugamba nti ekyo nkikoze mbadde njagala kufuna ssente. Omunnayuganda omu eyafunira akabenje mu kitundu ky'ewawu ng'avuga loole n'agenda okulipootinga. Bwe yalipootinga eyali ku nankani eyali ku kawunta mu poliisi n'amubuuza gw'otomedde abadde mu Sudaani n'agamba nti adde mu Sudaani afudde nti afudde. N'ajjayo emmundu eyali okumpi n'amukuba amasasi n'amutta. Omusajja oyo yali w'ekoboko.
NTV Akawungeezi ekyagendera ddala mu maaso. Tugenda kuwummulamu katono oluvannyuma tukomewo n'ekitundu kyaffe ekyokubiri nga mulimu amawulire amalala mangi omuli ne gano. Omusajja bamukutte lubona mu nnyumba ya munne awonye okugajjambulwa. Ab'e Makerere bayiyiza nate bakoze akuuma akategulula bbomu.
This is NTV. 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 This is is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV.
Webale nnyo munaffe okubanga tusagasaganye n'osigala ku NTV katugende mu maaso n'akawungeezi. Omusajja ateeberezebwa okubaamu engalo empanvu, poliisi emuwonyezza okuttibwa abatuuze ababadde bamwesunze okumumiza omusu. Ono akwatiddwa nga yeesozze enju ya munne awatali amukkiriza okukakana nga bamusibiddemu nga kirowoozebwa nti abadde azze kubba. Bino bibadde ku kyalo Butebe e Mukono era poliisi eyitiddwa amangu yemuwonyezza abantu obwedda abamulindiridde wabweru bamusomese essomo.
Isaac Obulu emisana tukolwa leero asangiddwa munda mu nnyumba y'omutuuze Mary Nakiyaga. Ennyumba eno Obulu wagiyingiriddemu tewali mulala yenna agibaddemu. Mulirwana wa Nakiyaga yamulabye ng'ayingira era n'amuggaliramu.
Ndaba omuntu ng'ayita emabega wa kantiini kati nentunula mu maaso ga kantiini nga simulabayo. Nembuuza omuntu ono asaliddeko wa kati okudda emabega tulabe waasalidde. Ngenzo okulanga oluggi lw'omukyalo oyo Maria Luggule. Negamba omuntu ono tabeera ng'ayingidde mu nnyumba ya Maria ate wonna nga wasibe. Kati kugenda ngenzo okutuukawo ng'omwali mu nnyumba ya Maria. Kati kyenkoze ne nkwata oluggi ne ndusiba.
Abatuuze bakuŋŋaanidde ku nnyumba nga baagala Obulu afulume ebweru bamwekolereko. Poliisi wabula eyitiddwa abakulembeze b'ekitundu era ne batwala Obulu ne bamuggalira. Obusungu bw'abatuuze buva ku bubbi obuyitiridde mu kitundu wadde nga poliisi ebali kinnya na mpindi.
Ebyo bibadde Mukono. Okomawo wano mu Kampala abayizi b'e Makerere nate bazzeemu okulaga nti mu bigambo bya tekinologiya balina we batuuse. Ku mulundi guno bakoze akuuma akaketta bomu n'okugitegulula nga kakozesa remote. Akuuma kano ke bayise explosive ordnance disposal we kajjidde ng'ab'ebyokwerinda bali ku bwerinde bwa kulwanyisa bikolwa eby'ekitujju mu ggwanga.
Like normal locomotion, it can move from one place to another. It can turn, reverse.
Abayizi basatu David Tusuubira, Alvin Kabwama ne Naijo Kinyera be baagatta amagezi ne bakola akuuma kano nga bayambibwako omusomesa waabwe. Akuuma kano kakola emirimu ebiri okuketta n'okutegulula bbomu era nga kakolera ku kompyuta.
You can as well load the program on it that we have developed and it will just move without the need for remote control. It can touch, it can push, it can sense, it can dodge obstacles, it can dispose or disarm any explosive depending on the gear which you put on the robotic arm.
Obuwumbi butaano bwe bukozeseddwa ku kuuma kano okuva mu 2010. Kino kyongera essuubi mu kaweefube w'ab'ebyokwerinda okulwanyisa obutujju obutadde abangi ku bunkenke.
We wanted to show that we can actually build a robot here that can help in counter-terrorism because currently there is no capacity.
Poliisi etegezezza olwaliro nga bw'eriko abateeberezebwa okuba abatujju wabula nga teyagadde kwesanguza bisingawo okutuusa nga balina we batuuse mu kunoonyereza kwabwe.
Abo be baana b'e Makerere. Enjovu ey'emyezi 3 gyokka eyanunulwa ku batuuze mu maserengeta g'eggwanga efudde. Enjovu eno ebadde yatwalibwa mu tterekero ly'ebisolo eby'omu nsiko Entebbe gy'ebadde ebudaabudibwa oluvannyuma lw'okutulugunyizibwa abantu. Keith Semiliki nga bw'ebadde eyitibwa yafuna lubyamira ow'amaanyi era mu ggandaalo lya Ssabbiiti ewedde yamumezze ekintu ekyamazeemu abakozi amaanyi. Kati ate katugendeko mu katale k'ensimbi tulabe nga siringi ya Uganda bwekoze okusinziira ku ssente ez'amawanga amalala. Akatale k'ensimbi bwe katyo nako bwe kagenze. Tugenda kuddamu tufune ku lwendo lw'amazzi ate oluvannyuma ngenda kudda n'agava mu kisaawe ky'ebyemizannyo tovaawo.
This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV.
NTV Akawungeezi n'amawulire agava mu kisaawe ky'ebyemizannyo. Bannasingo baasuze babinuka masejjere oluvannyuma lw'okuwangula omupiira gwabwe ogusoose mu mpaka z'amasaza ez'omwaka guno. Bano wadde be bategesi ab'omwaka guno babadde bafuuse chimpenchi ekubire kuba ttiimu zonna ze babadde bazannya nazo zibakubye nga n'olumu bakakkana ku mutendesi waabwe ne bamwambalira nti yabakubya. Singo yakubye Buluuli bannantameggwa b'omwaka oguwedde goolo 5 ku bwereere mu mupiira ogwabaddeko ebyokwerinda eby'amaanyi.
Bannasingo babuukidde waggulu ng'ejjanza olunaku lwa jjo oluvannyuma lwa ttiimu yaabwe okuwangula bannantameggwa b'empaka z'amasaza aba Buluuli goolo 5 ku bwereere. Ebyokwerinda ku kisaawe ky'Emityana byabadde gguluggulu oluvannyuma lw'abawagizi okwekumamu ogutaaka mu mupiira ogwasembayo ne baagala okukuba omutendesi wa Singo Waswabbosa. Omuyambi wa Waswabbosa Hussein Mbalangu yabadde mu mitambo gya ttiimu ng'ewangula.
Omuwagizi wa Singo nsanyusa nnyo omupiira guno gugoba era kkooti
guno gwe mupiira Singo gwesoose okuwangula mu mpaka z'omwaka guno.
Omuddusi w'embiro ennyimpi Janet Achola yalondeddwa ku ky'omuzannyi asinze banne mu mwezi ogwokutaano. Okutuuka ku buwanguzi buno kiddiridde emisinde gye yadduka mu Budaaki omwezi oguwedde n'amenya likoda ya ggwanga ate n'asobola okuyitamu okwesogga empaka za Olympics. Guno gwe mulundi gwa Achola ogunaasooka okwetaba mu mpaka za Olympics ate era gwe gusoose okuwangula ekirabo kya USPA. Achola mu kiseera kino ali mu kutendekebwa mu Kenya era ng'asuubirwa okudda mu ggwanga akwasibwe ekirabo kye sabbiiti ejja. Nantameggwa w'eggwanga mu muzannyo gwa kickboxing Titus Tugume nate wakuddamu okumeggana ne Malik Kalisa gwe yakuba omwaka oguwedde mu luzannya olw'okuddiŋŋana. Kalisa lwe yasaba nga bamumeze munsonyiweko katono. Nantameggwa w'eggwanga mu muzannyo gwa kickboxing Titus Tugume nate wakuddamu okumegana ne Malik Kalisa gwe yakuba omwaka ogwedde mu luzannya olw'okuddiŋŋana. Kalisa lwe yasaba nga bamumeze. Abameganyi bano abagenda okwambalagana nga 13 omwezi ogujja buli omu asuubizza okuleka munne mu kkubiro.
Ku luno ekintu ngenda kikyusaamu. Training gye nkoze ya kikugu nnyo okulaba nti ndiringa n'omusajja ono nga sitaddemu n'amaanyi mangi nnyo. Obukodyo bwe nnina ne bwagala nti tutandike nkakasa yunifoomu egenda etonya. Mwebale nnyo.
Ku luno agudde ate muze omuzungu era
zembadde nterekeddwa omuzungu kanyongerezeeko ojja kulaba ekinaabaawo mu second round nga kiwedde nze mmanyi nti aziguddemu ez'omuzungu kubanga mbadde training eziri international ate kati ndi ku level eya wansi eri national so ez'omuzungu zazikoze eki aziguddemu akkiriza obagaane ajja zigwamu.
Ag'ebyemizannyo wano ku NTV Akawungeezi bwe gabadde ziri 1-2-7 kati katulabe enteebereza y'obudde ey'olunaku olw'enkya. Obadde mulabi wa NTV Akawungeezi mulungi nnyo ddala tojjanga okwo kubanga tusiima bwongerwa. Kola bw'otyo ne ku ssaawa 3 bwe tunaaba tukutuusaako amawulire amalala mangi mu lulimi Olungereza. Ndi Hatima Nalugwa Sekaya, tusinkane olunaku olw'enkya tova ku NTV weeraba.
This is NTV. is NTV.
Every new day has its own surprises, and in life we learn to take the good and the bad. So, every episode of Tricksters has a new shocker, new cons, new victims. I'm telling you, Tricksters is rolling on your screen. Last week on Tricksters, a politician tried his hand at buying land.
Deposits, you are practical. Yes. Yes.
Agabini. Ene buno. Wakenyi.
Aba, tubayambe muki. Sebo jebaleko. Tuva kugula ka plot kano sebo. Okugula? Sebo. Ogula wo otya wanonga bananyiri bote tumanyi.
Let me show you the owner of this land. Yet what the photocopy land title. It's genuine. They took in lands and cross checking. Here it is. Ngena ntufu.
Sebo chicho. Chino nze na chiwadde customer. Ne mulinda de naye teyakomyewo.
What? I just can't believe it.
Never talk to strangers is still sound advice.
Hey.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Can you please help me and buy me some airtime of 2,000? The remaining balance of the money
Sir, please take care of my things.
I have no problem, I will. Don't worry, but you try to hurry. Vuka! Wake wanegea.
Wanegea
saidi. Atofa yoni chakula. Twale mutawana.
Saidi chao.
Kutugere chakula kuwadechi. Vuka unane ya sazi. Dako tukende.
Nyabo, omusajja abadde wano wenyera alazeewa. Alinya bodaboda nezo. Banange omusajja azibye.
A passenger lost his airtime before he even had it.
Yeah, airtime. Yeah. Munsomere.
Kandi koko.
22 11 asatu mwemu 27. Yeah. Wa mutwalo. Kale, webale nyo badde ddala.
Ate tagenze
nete abadde ati
muganye
neti waka
masa conductor.
Coming up on the show, why you should keep track of your money in a taxi.
Conductor Masao, mpane balance wange.
Balance wo. Where is the center?
Ompita mulalu.
Ramla gets a dose of her own medicine.
Madam.
Excuse me.
What? Your car has a flat tire.
Alright, whatever.
And the adage, finders, keepers, doesn't.
You bring.
No, you can take it. No, that's my phone. Don't take my phone.
The taxis, oh yes. Now, have you ever managed to take a nap in the taxi as you travel to your destination? I'm telling you, I know some people who completely fall asleep. They just black out in the taxi and have no idea what's going on around them. These passengers didn't. Have a look. If you do not own a car, jumping into a taxi is the next best option. These days, the taxis even do round trips across the city suburbs, so it's easy to get a taxi to your destination from almost anywhere. Then all you have to do is sit back and try to relax during that noisy ride. Many passengers get irritated when the conductor asks for money when the taxi has traveled only a short distance. Some complain that they have not even warmed their seats. Others reckon that if the taxi breaks down or runs out of fuel, they will not get their money back. So there's always some resistance when the conductor asks for money, even when he does this to ensure that he has enough change to give the passengers with big notes.
Asigadde muziweerezi bannange tuweze nfune ku change asigadde awo nyaba asigadde awo asigadde maaso muziweerezi zimperezeko mwami oli abasigadde awo asigadde awo muziweerezi
sebo mu maaso awo
avayo maaso awo sebo avayo ziweerezi sebo
nga wakaweta
thank you nga wakaweta awo sebo avayo yangweko so tulawula
The conductor receives a rude shock.
nakuweereza sente awo
ompita mulalu nkuwadde sente nga buli omu alaba
sente zo sizikuweerezaawo sente zo nzikuwadde nzibaze wano nga buli omu alaba nenziweerezaayo
kondakita siri mulalu nkuwadde sente
mpabaweerezaawe mabega
omusajja muwe sente ze
sente ze nzimuwadde.
Remember who you gave the money first, then follow from there.
Nziwadde n'omukyala n'aziweereza eri emabega.
Ono omusajja badde atudde wano. Kati omusajja yavuddemu dda. Yaviiriddemu ku stage eri wansi. Kati olwaziwadde ani.
The man pocketed the money and got out.
Omusajja yafulumye? Gwowadde sente? Wazimuwadde nga yakuwadde sente?
Kati nze mulowooza ngenda zijjawa sente zammwe.
Va mu by'okusaaga njagala sente.
Sente zo nzibaze wano. Nzibaze wano.
Muwadde sente mmeka?
Muwaddeko etaano. Sakwadde mitwalo etaano. Mpa sente.
Sirina sente zo naawe. Sirina sente zo. Kati gwolooza sente. Nazijjawa. Nazijjawa.
Omusajja muwe sente ze.
Rashidi ono
nga bw'aba bakuwadde emitwalo etaano tonamuwa Rashidi sibave muli babbi.
Kondakita njagala sente.
Mwefuna nnyo abagezi naye leero mufuna abasinga koze weempeesa yange nange.
Kondakita
bakondakita abo bazibu nnyo abaabo babbi nnyo.
So, it's not always conductors who cause the fracas in taxis. This passenger pocketed someone else's money and got off immediately. Conductors need to keep an eagle's eye on where the change they give back to passengers actually goes. Now it's confirmed that you need to have change before you get into a taxi. Big notes can get you into trouble. Have a safe trip. Hold on, let me just finish this. Okay, done. Right, as the proverb says, the biter bit. Some people call it having a dose of your own medicine. Well, the joke this time is on our own super con woman, Ramla. Ramla, the joke's on you. Tell us, how does it feel to be a victim? Adnan and Felix are hanging around waiting for a likely victim. Sonia is on standby waiting for their cue. Will Ramla fall for this trick?
Yes, Trevor. Oh, Sonny, please. Excuse me.
Madam.
Excuse me. What?
Your car has a flat tire.
Shit. How? Please. I'm from home right now. Take some of the
Mama, kato wakanyanza akugula akato. Oloza amaso gange malimba.
All right. Honey, please let me call you later. Let me check it.
Mama, ngumazi.
Jango gu.
Mami, cheka go chali doli doli. Kamumpo mchalo no.
All right, whatever. Somebody just said that I was wasting my time. What? Oh my God!
This trick is often performed by conmen in traffic jams. Motorists who talk on the phone while driving are good targets since their attention is already captured by their conversation. In most cases, conmen work as a team, with each member assigned a different role. On the phone, and so it was easy for Felix to distract her. Sonia was only there to make Felix look genuine to Ramla.
Mama, ngumazi.
Adnan waited for the right moment to grab her handbag as quick as a flash. Many times the victim does not realize the robbery until it's too late. And so, it's always safer to drive with the window up. Now, the streets of Kampala, you can never be too careful. I mean, even a con woman can get conned. Now, for me, will I ever get this car started? Like I said in the beginning, this show is full of surprises. Now Ronald is always at the receiving end. This time, he tries out his hand at his own con. Let's see what happens. Hey, now what's this? Hey, someone dropped and lost their wallet here. Hey. For those of us who hit the streets in the wee hours of the night because we have to be at work early, the next con is a familiar one. The streets are relatively empty, which works well for conmen. And hey, who doesn't want to start off their day with a fortune? Edwin is ready to embark on this con for the day. And guess who with? He has teamed up with Godfrey. Their target? Gladys, who does not know how to handle her unexpected fortune. The two have already set their sights on Gladys and are ready to roll. In this team, Godfrey sets the bait to get Gladys.
Madam, you have picked money. Are you going to give it back?
I think so.
You think so? He does not know, so it will not hurt him.
And Edwin does a great job of convincing her to pocket the cash.
Besides, this is an opportunity, a blessing from above.
You're not suggesting I pocket this man and run away with it, are you?
No, of course you thought that also when you had just picked the money.
I guess. But it's not mine.
It's not yours. Are you going to deny the opportunity life has given you? Are you? How many problems you have? Don't you think this money can solve a lot of problems?
I guess, but it's not mine.
It's not yours who has refused. It's not, but let's do like this. Put it in the bag, the thieves will see us, man. Now let us go to a quiet place. We count the money and you give me a little, because it's not mine, you are the one who picked it. You give me a little, then you take.
I don't know, this is not our money, really.
It's not our money, but he does not know. This is like winning a lottery. My God, let us go. You, which village did you come from? Huh? You pick such big sums and you are just there.
The moment she puts the money into her handbag and goes off with a stranger, she is lost.
You have ever gotten such money? Huh? We hurry up and count the money. What is wrong? Excuse me, Mwala.
She is now a victim, unable to defend herself because she believes she is short of a thief. After all, she has taken somebody else's money. It is now easy for the conmen to rob her of all her property. For me, I'm going to be a victim of this one. I always find valuable things on the street. Now, you know what you should not do when you find things that don't belong to you. Finders is not keepers. Is your worst fear a burglar breaking into your house? Or is your worst fear getting held at gunpoint? Whatever the case may be, you can get robbed in the blink of an eye. It's obvious that school holidays are with us again. Yes, there are many young faces everywhere, and those youngsters who have been incarcerated in boarding schools hit the streets. As they look for amusement places to hang out, it feels just too good to be back. But not everyone thinks so.
What our parents are thinking, letting their kids go. Do you know what I do during this time? I do not let Alex out of my sight. Not even to the gym. I escort him right there and wait outside the door. Maria, is it not getting a little too fast? My bag! Oh my God!
Right. Now one thing is for sure. Now you know how not to hold your bag. I'm telling you, are we safe out there? So for me, life comes down to a number of things. The black, the white, the sky, the sea, the tricksters, and the victims. Catch you next time, same time on has been Tricksters.
to the renowned British zoologist Walter Whitfield. It's the second most endangered giraffe subspecies with only a few hundred members. All of those that are living in the wild are in protected areas in Uganda and Kenya. The Whitfield giraffes have the basic appearance of other giraffe subspecies, non-lobes, a non-lobe with 7 elongated vertebrae, and a lobe-like coat. The base of the neck has spines that project upward and form a hump over the shoulders. They have anchor muscles that hold the neck upright. But they are taller, measuring up to 6 meters, ranking as the tallest of their mammals, with an adult male weighing up to 2,000 kilograms. A giraffe's head can weigh up to 10 kilograms and measure about 60 centimeters in length. This is the only subspecies to be born with 5 horns. 2 of these are horns on the top of the head, in common with all giraffes. The third horn can be often seen in the center of the giraffe's forehead, and the other 2 behind his ear. Giraffes can inhabit savannas, grasslands, or open woodlands. They are herbivorous, preferring areas enriched with acacia growth. Their legs are used to brush trees and break large quantities of water. As a result, they can spend long periods of time in dry, arid areas without drinking. A giraffe can eat 63 kilograms of leaves and plants daily. Giraffes have 5 stomachs just like cows, so their carb needs to travel all the way up their neck. They are sociable, tolerant animals, with the female giraffes living in groups of a dozen or so members, including calves. Younger males tend to live in buffalo herds with older males often leading solitary lives. Unlike most mammals, giraffes work using both legs on the same side of the body simultaneously. Giraffes can reach speeds of 30 to 36 miles per hour. Red-scaled giraffes have a life expectancy of 20 to 30 years.
This is NTV.
Today on Who We Are, still in the east, we are in the green rolling hills of eastern Uganda, inhabited by the Bamasaba. The Bamasaba are a Bantu tribe inhabiting the eastern Ugandan districts of Sironko, Manafwa, Manjia and Mbale. Closely related to the Bukusu of Western Kenya, they are mainly agricultural people. The origins of the Bama Saba is not known, but oral traditions carried over generations points at Egypt as the traditional homeland. But this could be the similar epicenter where other migrations from the Lower Nile and northwestern Ethiopia took place at the close of the millennium, approximately 900 AD. The current Babukusu of Western Kenya are believed to have migrated from the Bama Saba, particularly from areas around Bubulo in current Manafa district. The term Bama Saba is sometimes used interchangeably with the term Bagisu, even though the latter is actually a subgroup of the main Bama Saba group and were the first settlers on Mountain Elgon's western and southwestern slopes. Today we are going to witness an old-age famous tradition of the Bama Saba, male circumcision. The ritual, which is long and complex, is popularly known as Imbalu. These circumcision ceremonies are held every even year in a 3-day ceremony of dancing and feasting preceding a couple of months' preparations. The initiates are admitted into adulthood and expected to begin their formal contribution to the growth of their respective communities. But how, when and why did Imbalu start and who started it? There's some theories explaining the origin and history of Imbalu.
Imbalu ya mwambu ni nabafu. Ganiana nika. Yes, bali hukana babolele ganiana nika. Ganina ni yani nikano yani akumwaka 18 gumu. Okula shere. Kushikala basinde kucha mumwe. Era fefe nga wao haro mwana ta ufa wao mwambu niye wana ni hembalu gana ni hembalu ayiro muhano murwa we mweko ni omulanga bali na barwa niye wana ni hena hembalu wana usanga na ayiro muhana yoyo wamuloma ari wambilire nefe wefe ubuzwayo kwinjira nengo wambiye nawo ninjire hembalu nyombi ngakwingira ta sese inkwaliya kwiwe mwambu mwana omutinita gano omuntu wenjire embalu nga nasiningira nekusala abana babe nebusa bafa bawa kale mu shimirwa shefwe shafukirira lwomu okana nabi mu kelama wewe wingira kumusamba kwebarwa wakurera mungu muno gana kurera mungu muno paha kusala abana bakhale embalu bakhashirera bamandu besi abama mushikuka sha mwambu binjire embalu bakhashirera kale niwo bamasaba niye isimbalu yanamikano niyo yakenda mu bamasaba bosi.
From 1801 to 1917, Imbalu used to take place in odd years. This fact changed in 1920 when 2 years were skipped, 1918 and 1919, and the rituals were conducted in even years in the months of July to December. That too is about to change because during these months, children escape from school to enjoy the ceremonies and festivities. During this time, they are exposed to sexual exploitation, the whole process ending into teenage pregnancies and ultimately a high dropout rate in schools, especially of girls. The choice of who has got to be circumcised depends on the following. The novice, referred to as Omsinde, may express his interest to be circumcised. The father of the novice may nominate him for circumcision whether he wants to be circumcised or not, or a decision may be made by the elders to have him circumcised. The Council of Elders is comprised of different clans, and these passes the final number of boys that are to be circumcised. When the final number of novices has been selected and agreed upon, their parents are allotted such that they can start preparing for the celebrations and festivities.
Lwekuba kijira bafukiriza kikuka shefu kwingira empalu lwekuba kisoni shefu kimirwa shefu isho shanywa kwingira mu masaba bosi kijira bitsa obusana wa mwambu babone abana ba mwambu ngani bingira empalu kijira bitsa ba masaba bosi era bamani mu Kenya betsana okwingisa bale bawe abanywa okwingira empalu.
They prepare the dress code for the novice, which includes bells and a skin of a colobus monkey. A ritual is performed at the novice's home, which is the they prepare manners. After this small ritual at home, the boy is stripped and given the traditional attire for Imbalu. After this ceremony, the novice or Omsinde starts dancing around the village in preparation for the actual circumcision. He may be alone or in groups of boys from different families. The candidates are accompanied by their sisters, mothers, as well as well-wishers on the dance tour around the villages. The common dance performed is a famous kadodi. The accompanying relatives are also smeared with malwa for distinction. This dancing around the villages used to take place over 6 months, but this has changed. Due to the rapid growth of the economy and Uganda's education calendar, it has been cut down to only a few months, and the time of the day changed to evenings. The novices take the evening off schoolwork and engage in the dancing. The dancing, referred to as Isonja in Lumasaba, is a drill but also a way of soliciting money from community members. As the days to the launch and circumcision draw closer, the novices are smeared with yeast. They continue dancing. The yeast is an indicator that the novice is left with 2 or 3 days to the last ritual before circumcision.
Sisindisyo syarebwawo khukana khumanyisya andu umwana wase wakanile mbalu ali khumba nenga so wakanile mbalu tasakhibwa khuwakhibwa kamamela ako wakenda mubali bete.
On the last day, various clans converge at a common ground where shrines called Mulusha have been built. The gathering is a sign of unity, demonstrating to the youth about to be circumcised that they are one and must live as brothers.
Ama mutsu munyo bamukhala wima khulushakho yo bamukhala sijana fwe uko busayechi yewe niyo khakhala banana babana bewe babitsukuru bewe.
There are several stopovers before their final destination at the top of the hill. At every stopping point, there's a lot of singing, dancing and brandishing of sticks. The boys are then blessed by the elders who spit malwa on their chests.
Amarwa gatubayira ago gabagumye emitima gino gibere emigumu agenda aje wano nga ategedde nti ali mugumu
ate n'omukoro ogwo gulina amaanyi mangi mulimu abawala abatazaala
ne bazaala nabo mulimu abalenzi nabo abalenzi nabo bwe batyo
kwe kulaba bakyala nga nabo bazine
bakaya ate nga buli muntu ayagala bamufuyeko
waliwo kyendabye ndabye nga mutadde wansi obusuwa naye amaloga ne gagezaako okuyiika lwaki
kati amalwago okuyiika kati tuyise bano abo bona abali wano abafwa bona ntitubakuŋŋaanya ne bajja mu nsi omwo kati amalwago bwe tejja mu nsi ne twogera ebigambo ne galinnya ne gayiika wansi
kyamugisa okuyiika wansi kiki lwaki
gayiika nti awete ensanyu
bategedde nti abafo abo bakutte
kati bakutte nabali mukunywa kati bali musanyu basanyuka gayiika kati nabo bali kunywa.
This practice can only be done by men who are father to a boy child. This symbolizes that the ritual will go on well and that the ancestors are pleased to join them in the festivities.
Okugwedda nga abakulu bali abajjajja abatuzaala bakolanga bwe batyo n'okutuusa nakati naffe ndio tugusangawo si kwe gusooka gulinga ogwabadde mudodo. Enkya kati oba oyagala tuleka ate tuve wano ate tugenda olabe wali ku mugga
kyekikolebwa ku mugga
onaalaba onaakiraba olyokutegeere.
The following day, the novices are taken down to a stream of water for cleansing before circumcision. The procession, including their relatives, proceeds to the Sacred Hearts. After this ritual, the novices disperse into smaller groups to their maternal homes. When the novice is finally ready in full costume, he is brought to be smeared with the chime and more yeast. The leader of the elders mixes the chime and smears it onto the novice's chest, arms, legs and back. When the elders have performed this duty, the novices are summoned to jump up and down. The elders have words of encouragement for the novices. Be firm, be firm. Give it a firm stomach. Be strong. The novice is then told to shake off and sing a song. This is usually at the courtyard where he is going to be circumcised. All the candidates are given positions ready for the ritual. Usually the oldest of the batch is the first one to face the knife. There's a lot of tension and anxiety just before the operation takes place. The novice then braces himself and makes his way to the circumcision spot. The circumciser or omuchebi is told to be ready for him. A way is made and the novice pushes through the crowd to the spot where only close relatives are standing to ensure that the operation goes on smoothly. He must be strong and is not expected to scream or flinch during the circumcision, otherwise the family will be disgraced. it is of great importance for the candidate to stand strong during the circumcision to show that he is capable and ready to become a man. And the assistant circumciser prepares him and thereafter invites a senior circumciser who quickly cuts off the first skin. The relatives standing close to him shout words of relief to the adult in the making. There you are, you have been spoiled. After this varies from one county to another. In North Bufumbo County, the wound is washed and later trimmed. The same may also be done in the central or south at one's choice. Finally, the elder takes a close look at the umufolu or the newly circumcised before he is covered and made to sit down. If a man, even an elderly one, does not go through this ceremony, he will never be referred to as a man, and he will never earn the respect of the community. Ostensibly, he will actually be cursed until the spirits force him to perform this ceremony. The initiates are thus admitted into adulthood after this ceremony and are expected to begin their formal contribution to the growth of their respective communities. That's it for this edition.
This is NTV.
With a body weight of up to 2 tons, the hippopotamus rivals the white rhinoceros as the second largest living land animal. It averages 3.5 meters long and 1.5 meters tall at the shoulder. Its name means river horse and it's semi-aquatic, inhabiting rivers and lakes in the grassland portions of sub-Saharan Africa. The hippopotamus is recognizable for its enormous barrel-shaped hairless body, big broad head and stubby legs. Even though it's a bulky animal, a hippo runs almost as fast as a human at 30 miles per hour. It's brownish gray on top with a light pink color underneath. The hippopotamus has its ears, nose and eyes positioned on top of its head so it can remain submerged and still monitor what's going on around it. A hippo spends most of its day lazing in the water with its top exposed and occasionally basking on a sandbar. When it submerges, it closes its nostrils and ears so water won't get in. It emerges every 4 to 6 minutes to breathe. The process of surfacing and breathing is automatic, and even a hippo sleeping underwater will rise and breathe without waking. Hippopotami live in herds with the largest pods of up to 100 animals, with one dominant male presiding over a stretch of the river. The hippopotamus is herbivorous and nocturnal. It comes out of the water at night to graze and can eat up to 68 kilograms of vegetation in one night. Female hippos reach reproductive prime at 5 to 6 years of age, while males at around 7.5 years. Mating takes place in the water, with the female submerged for most of the encounter. Hippos have a gestation period of 8 months. The female hippopotamus will go off by herself to have her calf. She will then stay away from the herd for anywhere from 10 to 44 days. A hippo's lifespan is typically 40 to 50 years.
This is NTV.
Welcome to this edition of the Art and Design Show. Today we feature a Ugandan gospel smooth jazz saxophonist who has a powerfully expressive voice that he integrates with traditional African rhythms. And we hook up with one of the 10 finalists of the Reds African Fashion Awards to find out what he went through preparing for the competition. These and more stories coming up. Today's edition introduces aspiring furniture makers to essential techniques of designing and tuning furniture.
This is a production technique called weaving, and we use all local materials. These ropes come from the waste banana leaves, things that people throw away, they rot. And of course the raw materials are free. You don't have to go and buy banana fibers or papyrus. These are all natural resources which are growing abundantly and require zero investment to actually start producing. Within our company we buy processed timber, and we then have machines here which convert it into the specific sizes we need for the projects which we're doing. Again, there are a huge range of timbers available here. We specialise mainly in hardwoods. We have basic machines at the moment which I think you saw earlier, actually plane the timber down to a usable level, and then the carpenters take it on. And that's where a number of our hand tools begin to get used. We have planes, we have chisels, hammers. It's a huge array depending on the actual product you're doing. On top of that we have drill machines, we have sanding machines, we have a number of different items which are used in very specific areas. There's a huge range of obviously designs that you can do. I mean, we incorporate weave into our designs, metal, so the timber doesn't always stand alone. All of our products go through a very sort of industrious finishing process, which goes through 3 different sections of hand sanding, different levels of sanding, where the the product is taken down to an absolutely perfectly smooth finish. It then goes through to our spraying section, and they'll put on a sealing coat of sealer, which completely, so that you're not going to get any problems with doo-doos in the future or any insects or anything.
Based on examples in the historic colonial times, our cuff features fine joinery and simple designs.
It's a very European design that we go for on the whole. It's a very simple design. The concept normally comes from most of the European ideas that are around at the moment. But it's all made locally and all made by local artisans.
All pieces are designed to clients' particular requirements, and the staff are always collaborating closely with the client to achieve precisely the desired result.
Clients have got an amazing imagination. They want all sorts of things to happen, which is good fun for us, because we then have fun with the designs, and we make sure that those structural rules, those standard structural rules, are applied to the design the client would like.
A lot of interior furniture depends on where exactly you're going to keep it and on what your existing decor looks like.
I like to see a lot of harmony with colour, with a softness to all the furnishings that go into a room, a very natural look, and something that's not too overdone. I think the main thing is to think about the piece of furniture that you're having made. What is the use of it? How much use is it going to get? If you're going for a sofa where you've got children in the room, you're not going to want to go for a very light colour where they're going to scramble all over it, perhaps get it very dirty very quickly. You've got to think about the use of the furniture itself and go for something that's practical at the end of the day. Also something that's removable for washing is very helpful on that side.
If your home looks the same year after year, then it's time to give it a little change.
Home trends tend to change quite rapidly, especially in sort of European environments. They change virtually with the season. We don't have seasonality here in Uganda in the same way, so trends don't need to change quite so rapidly. But where you've got your seasons changing, people tend to change from rich, bright colours through to pale colours depending what the season is.
In the hot season, a cool, airy look is appealing, so bare floors and naked windows are perfect for warmer months. Floral arrangements of pine and holiday colors can be changed for light, colorful ones in the hot season. Put away dark brass or pottery containers and bring out clear glass or crystal vases. Be sure to put garden magazines and flower books out on the coffee table in the hot season. That will help bring the outside in and add color to your interior. In the cold season, put warm blankets on the chairs, but the look must be light and uplifting. Changing with the seasons gives you an opportunity to get out some long-lost pieces to the center of attraction for a while. And now that the temperatures are warm, throw in some soft cotton or silk. You will be surprised what a difference just a small change can make.
I think people are starting to understand what they actually have here in Uganda to work with, and using their own local materials and their own local artisans is giving them a completely different feel to their homes.
Today on The Flair, we are with Emmanuel Bagwana. Emmanuel is the proprietor of a fashion house called Iguana, depicting both his names. Born in a family of artists, it was just logical that the trade transcended.
I come from a family of stylish women, so naturally I wanted to see other women look like my relatives. And also I have an artistic background. Many people in my family are in the arts in one way or another. Yeah, so that inspired me to also follow the same career path. My biggest fashion inspiration is Tom Ford. He used to be the head designer for Gucci and YSL, and now he's doing his own label. He combines sexy and modern and then puts in high fashion. So it's not tacky, yet it's sexy.
Emmanuel could not wait to complete studies before storming the fashion industry.
I always keep updated by subscribing to some of the fashion magazines like Vogue, Glamour, African Woman. So that keeps me at par with the trends, but I also put in my own creativity to give it an iguana stamp, to make it Ugandan and iguana. Yeah. To get a design to become an outfit, first I think of it, then put it down on paper and see how realistic it is, then start thinking of what fabrics to use to bring it to life, buy the fabrics, cut it, stitch it, and it's a design.
In collaboration with nature, Emmanuel showcased his first designs at the Uganda International Fashion Week.
Fashion Week 2004 was inspired by the islands. For some reason, I just ended up being inspired by Hawaii and their bright culture, the beaches. So basically, it was about bright colors, plants, and my inspiration was just bright things and lots of color. It gave me more experience in being more professional and dealing with clients. The first collection I was starting out, so it was a bit laid back and I didn't have much to show. Then the second collection was more mature, more professional, and it gave me a lot of clients. So it's a good way for designers to market their stuff out there. Some of the challenges we face as designers include competition with second-hand clothes or the cheaper imports from China, which maybe cost a quarter of what we charge. But what people don't know is that the quality will be different, and maybe what you're doing is unique. Then maybe we also face another problem of Ugandans are not so creative fashion-wise. Many people don't like taking risks, and as a designer, you expect someone to take a risk. So those are some of the challenges we face. And maybe fabrics also. The availability is not so, we don't have so much variety. The variety is a bit limited in the shops.
Last year, his sketches were chosen to compete for the Reds African Fashion Awards.
The Reds experience was such a challenging experience because I had to squeeze 3 outfits in a limited time. And with all the chaos, I still managed to come out with 3 spectacular outfits, I guess, which were ready by that time. And it was also very good exposure, career-wise. I've learned as a fashion designer that the most important thing is quality. You have to stick to quality. Before design, before anything else, quality is a priority. So as I've gone on learning and improving on my skills, I've perfected on quality. Ugandans take fashion shows as entertainment, which is wrong. Fashion shows are business. It's like going for a trade exhibition, going for a factory exhibition, or going for a tractor exhibition. So fashion shows should be places where you go, you look at garments and see what you could buy or what you could order for your store in bulk. But Ugandans go there for entertainment. It's more like a concert.
Emmanuel didn't win the award, but the fact that his designs showcased left no doubt that the young designer is looking at no limits. individual we feature today on Performing Arts is a saxophonist addicted to the instrument and energy of the sound it produces. His music is so captivating that many music lovers were enthralled by his talent. Isaiah Katuma is a Ugandan instrumentalist living in the United Kingdom. This gentleman definitely has a story to tell.
I should say, and in a lot of respect and honor to a man who played a very big role. He's called Mugero Washington. He had a school. They didn't have much to do with music. They was just studying it up. With my mother not having no clue where school fees was coming from. So he said, well, you can do something. So she said, unless I go and dig cassava and put it, exchange for school fees. He said, okay, just let's try it out. So one time down the road, the cassava was not coming out. And my mom went, I can't afford. So he said, okay, just bring him, but he will have to study while helping us and working, and for that, don't worry about the money. But he was going to be staying here. During the holidays, he will be working in the school band because the school band was commercial. And it was interesting. It was a bit hard because this gentleman was involved. I think he was a veteran of the Idi Amin, army, but he was a teacher as well. So it was interesting and a challenge because his kind of love was not the normal. He had to beat you up seriously in order to say something small. But he had to teach me the hard way. I mean, we used to wake up 4 o'clock, have to run down to about 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. A kid, and you're carrying drums, and he's saying, I'm giving you fitness.
Last year, Isaiah appeared on the BBC's Network Africa, and the experience he got, he only can explain.
I know Jakana had the CD. I had no clue that he works for BBC. About a day after 2, they called me. I go, this is BBC, and can you come over for an interview? We want to have you on. I said, wow, yeah, I'm on. They picked me up in a car I had never seen. I was in London all the time. It was like a 2006 model. I said, wow. People were calling and sending in messages, and they said, can you stay another 2 hours? I said, of course, I'm at Bush House, man. Eventually, we were there for 4 hours. I said, yes. I actually played. They asked me, can you do some jingles for BBC? I said, why not? So in one of the breaks, I was just doing the jingles. And they said, there we go. This is BBC. And I was like, wow, it's such a privilege.
The type of music Isaiah does is of Black American origin, characterized by improvisation, syncopation, usually with a regular or forceful rhythm.
People like Mansuru of Afrigo and Moses Matova, personal friends, very good friends of mine. I respect them so much. It's just that it's a different generation and they're playing different. But because I'm a saxophonist, I understand the way they tackle the instrument. It's so professional. People like Kenny G, Dev Kos, Masekela, people that are really into jazz, they speak the language.
As a Ugandan gospel smooth jazz saxophonist, Isaiah has developed a powerfully expressive voice that he integrates with traditional African rhythms. Isaiah's music is incredibly diverse, articulate, and glowingly expressive.
number one is my wife, Sheila. She does running up and down, and I really want to appreciate her. In fact, she's featured on two of the songs where she's singing leads, and I really want to appreciate her. And my son, of course, who is always encouraging me to play the saxophone.
Put your hands together for Isaiah. Come on.
The show went on for 2 straight hours. Isaiah, however, didn't have to stay on stage the whole time, but he did anyway.
Come on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a fantastic time so far. Come on, let me hear a very loud scream. Applause, 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 applause.
And finally, before we go, I'd like to leave you with a live performance taken off the Cards pantomime, A Fiddler on the Roof.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch. Matchmaker, matchmaker, look through your book and make me a perfect match.
But Mama, the man she finds, the last one was so old and bald. He had no hair. A poor girl without a dowry can't be so particular. You want hair? Marry a monkey.
Saito, if your father says no, that's it. It's final. He'll yell at me.
Mortal!
Yard with ducks and turkeys and geese, and chicks for the town to see and hear, squawking just as noisily as they can. With every quack and gurgle and clack and keek, they would sound like a trumpet on the ear. Good Sabbath, children.
Good Sabbath, Papa.
Replegic, this is my eldest daughter, Zykel.
Good Sabbath.
Good Sabbath. You have a very pleasant daughter.
I have 5 pleasant daughters. This is mine, and 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 this is not mine. Replegic, this is mortal Camsoil.
That's it for this edition of the Art and Design Show. Remember, all mankind's inner feelings eventually manifest themselves as an outer reality. If you have any comments or suggestions towards the show, send us mail on art@ntvuganda.co.ug. Whatever it is, we're glad to read from you. Join us next week. Until then, goodbye.
NTV.
Combination here, y'all. Feel it. The revolution will be televised. Feel me.
Come on. She would shampoos a lot. Several mornings she shampoos my locks. Always have my back, she stand true to that. Real type of loving, thank you for that. Yo, run barefoot without no shoes and socks. Cause she keep herself clean, man, I got catch no rush. And she love me for real, man, I feel have no cash. And any little thing and from a splish, she splash. Yo, all this blinging is like you forgot. Use cheddar as the bait, then you recruit the rat. So we listen couple speech of Martin Luther chat. Dennis Brown, Bob Marley and some super cats. Yo, it seem like she live upside the Duke shop. Cause she don't have a scratch, it's only beauty spot. When one duty start is when one duty stop. 1 9 to 5, 1 5 to 12 o'clock. You see me?
This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV.
East African Legislative Assembly swearing in.
All is set for the appointment of a Ugandan speaker tomorrow.
Tonight it's a two-horse race between Dora Byamukama and Margaret Ziwa, both of the NRM party, for the coveted position of the Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly. So who will it be?
Plus, a defiant Nandala Mafabi insists he has no apologies to make for firing perceived errant opposition members from key parliamentary and shadow cabinet positions. But was his decision rather justified? Be sure to have your say on NTV poll.
Good evening and a warm welcome to this Monday edition of NTV Tonight. Let's now have a look at the rest of the headlines.
If this was not a case of preaching water by day, but gulping wine in the night.
I won't allow NRM moles in government. Mafabi defends decision to sack opposition leaders.
Also tonight, another groundbreaking invention from Makerere, the remote-controlled robot to sense and disarm explosive devices.
And 2 dead and scores left homeless after landslides strike in Sironko. We're delighted that you could join us on NTV Tonight. I am Rachel Arinitwe.
And I am Gabriel Epeno. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, 2 Ugandans are set to fight out for the position of the Speaker of the Regional Parliament, the East African Legislative Assembly.
Now, although Ugandan government is fronting Dora Byamukama, who is serving her second term at Iyala, Margaret Ziwa, who's an NRM nominee, is also in the race.
Earlier in the day, Burundi had declared that it would front a candidate to battle it out with Uganda for the top Iyala job, but was later persuaded to drop the bid.
Julia Senkandwa opens tonight's newscast.
A unique function of linking the assembly with the national assemblies. I'd like to do the following with your support. Number 1, I'd like to create more awareness about the East African community. And I'd like to do this by linking proactively with you on this mission.
Dora Byamukama, a lawyer by profession, is being fronted by NRM party and has just served only 1 term, as well as her challenger Margaret Ziwa, also of NRM. Another Ugandan, Mike Sibalu, was earlier in the race but later dropped out.
Honorable Sibalu, we had a series of meetings that were calculated to create a single candidature. To this extent, Honorable Sibalu withdrew his candidature. Honorable Ziwa and Honorable Dora are the ones now still in the race.
However, Uganda received a surprise threat when Burundi also picked nomination forms with intentions to contest for the speakership slot. A legal battle between the two countries ensued for close to 3 hours until Burundi withdrew its nominations.
This process was established majorly as a tripartite arrangement between the countries Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania since 1993. The objects for which it was written were to address concerns of integration of 3 major countries, although under Article 3, a provision for any other country was established. Now, in law, what that one means is that we adopted the principle of variable geometry on integration, that those that would find the integrated countries in place would merely join them and will have no locus to change the decisions already taken. So in this precinct, Burundi was making a mistake by thinking that they can disentangle the rotational basis of speakership under Article 53 of the treaty.
The other much anticipated function tomorrow is the swearing in of the elected members from all the member states. 45 indirectly elected members and 7 ex-officials will be taking their oath on Tuesday. The ex-officials include ministers of each partner state responsible for regional cooperation, the Secretary General of the East African Community, and the Council to the Community. Among the key roles of EALA include being the legislative arm of the community, debating and approving budget for the community, and also to liaise with the national assemblies of the member states on matters relating to the community. Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
Elsewhere, the leader of the opposition in parliament, Nathan Nandala Mafabi, has defended his move to fire Democratic Party and Uganda People's Congress shadow cabinet ministers and chairpersons of the parliament committees, saying he would not bow to pressure to rescind the decision. Last Wednesday, Mafabi announced on the floor of parliament that FDC and his office would no longer cooperate with opposition parties that participated in the EALA elections, including DP and UPC. Mafabi said he would soon reconstitute the shadow cabinet with only steadfast members of the opposition. From Parliament, here's Maurice Ochol.
Following the elections of the 9 members to represent Uganda in the East African Legislative Assembly, Uganda's main opposition party in the country didn't participate. They viewed this as a betrayal from their colleagues. This further led to the sacking of the 2 opposition lawmakers, Florence Namayanja from DP, who has been serving as vice chairperson of the Parliamentary Local Government Accounts Committee, and the Public Accounts Committee vice chairperson Maxwell Akora from UPC.
Of course,
Today, Mafabi came out to defend his actions.
So I took that decision, and I still stand with it, and I remain accountable, personally.
Nandala Mafabi is also worried about what he calls masqueraders within the opposition who spy for the ruling NRM party and help it to achieve its objectives.
If this was not a case of preaching water by day, but gulping wine in the night by our friends in the DP and the UPC, what then was it?
On the question of whether to have talks with the opposition legislators that he feels have betrayed them, the Budadi West lawmaker noted that he would but wouldn't involve other leaders.
Jema, to meet, I have no problem meeting any leader. Let me tell you that. But I will not meet Mao. I will not meet Mao.
He then noted that he was reviving the shadow cabinet and would soon announce the changes. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
But it is from that story that we engage you tonight in our NTV poll this evening, and would like to hear from you on this issue. We're asking, was the leader of the opposition right to sack opposition party members who participated in the election of EALA members? Was the leader of the opposition, Nandala Mafabi, right to sack opposition party members who participated in the election of East African Legislative Assembly members?
To have your say, text your comment to 8778 starting with a yes or no, and don't forget to let us know where you are texting in from and your name, as we shall be reading some of your comments during tonight's newscast and bring you the final poll result at the very end. Now, following the July 2010 bomb attacks at Chadondo Rugby Grounds and the ever-increasing terrorist threats that are in Uganda, Makerere University has once again found itself at the forefront of yet another groundbreaking invention. This time, a device to detect and possibly disarm an explosive. The robot, constructed by the College of Engineering, Design, Art and Technology, is the first of its kind in the region and will go by the name of Explosive Ordnance Disposal. Craig Kadoda reports.
This device is remote controlled and is the latest technology invention out of the technological laboratories of Makerere University. The robot that has been christened the Explosive Ordnance Disposal, or EOD, is an innovation under the iLabs project at the university to promote science and technology innovations. The device is a helping hand in Uganda's ongoing anti-terrorism fight. The robot will minimize the risk of harm to officers engaged in counter-terrorism operations because it can detonate a bomb with a remote operation through a computer.
It is controlled using Bluetooth technology and wireless technology, WiMAX or Wi-Fi. We have, of course, we have developed it in such a way that it can mimic all human senses. It can touch, it can push, it can sense, it can dodge obstacles, it can dispose.
The device has a robotic arm, radiation sensor and ultrasonic sensor with live video streaming, making it possible to view the video feed from various locations. Experts who are not on location can advise on the course of action and has been constructed from locally available materials.
It has been developed using aluminum beams and a couple of motors which are available on the local market and a couple of sensors which are also available on the local market. It has a camera.
The nature of disarmament made by the robot depends on the type of device fitted to the arm, whether by cutting, shooting or lifting. This is one of the initiatives that are being taken up by the public as police continue to caution the public to be very careful about possible terror attacks in the country.
We are aware that there are associates. So in our operations, definitely people who will be found to be having some linkage to digital acts or digitalists will definitely be arrested and help police in the investigations.
Uganda has received terror threats and attacks from the Al-Shabaab because of its continued military support in the Mogadishu peacekeeping process.
2 people have been killed in Bugimera village, Busamfwa sub-county in Sironko district following mudslides triggered by a heavy downpour yesterday. Over 300 residents have also been displaced after their houses were completely destroyed. Locals say the rains began pounding the area at about 11 a.m. on Sunday.
The heavy rains lasted over 4 hours. This further weakened the already fragile terrain from surrounding hills, which finally gave way. The rolling boulders, coupled with tons of mud, killed an elderly man and woman. Residents also say 7 households were completely covered by the sludge. Crops were not spared either, with several acres of coffee, bananas, beans and maize washed away as well. Officials from Uganda Red Cross who rushed the area say the need for survivors to move from harm's way is urgent.
The risks are still high, and our appeal as the Red Cross is that people should be very vigilant, especially when heavy rains are occurring. They should try to avoid their houses as much as possible.
Residents who say this is not the first time the area is experiencing mudslides attribute the occurrence to, among other factors, the cultivation of the hill slopes.
It has happened in this same village 3 years back.
Killing how many people?
It also claimed the lives of 4 people.
The Elgon region is the most prone to mud and landslides, with at least one recorded every year. The latest being in 2011 in Bulambuli district, where over 27 people were killed.
Well, we're now going to take a short break, but here's a sneak peek at what you can expect after the break.
A fire at Chibibi Junior School claims the life of a 10-year-old pupil.
And on Living Life Tonight, the man helping you get back on your bike, we look at a day in the life of a bicycle mechanic in Kidgum.
NTV Tonight continues after this short break. Do not go anywhere.
This is NTV. This is NTV. NTV. This is 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 NTV.
Welcome back. You are watching NTV Tonight. Let's proceed with a reminder of our NTV poll question for tonight and some of your responses. Tonight we asked, was the leader of the opposition right to sack opposition party members who participated in the election of IALA members? Was the leader of the opposition, Nathan Nandala Mafabi, right to sack opposition party members who participated in the election of MPs to the East African Parliament?
All right, if you haven't had your say yet, there's still time for you. The number is 8778. You begin with a yes or no, followed by your comment, and don't forget to let us know where you're texting in from as well as your name.
Well, let's look at some of your responses so far. Raymond Xavier, you say if the official position was not to participate, then he is right and it's within his mandate. The opposition does not need any more rebel MPs.
All right, we have someone here who disagrees. This is Rashid Juma in Ginger saying no. I think he's becoming a dictator. Why should one believe in what he says?
And this is how the tentative poll result stands right now. 69% of the respondents agree that Mafabi was right in his decision, while 31% of you say no.
All right, there's still time for you to have your say. The number is 8778. We'll be reading some more of your comments at the very end of tonight's newscast, and of course give you the final poll result.
Let's move on now. Now, you may remember the last month we brought you the story of baby Keith. This is a friendly elephant that had been saved from angry villagers in Kanala and Toroko village in Semiliki by a Good Samaritan and given sanctuary at the Wildlife Education Center in Entebbe.
Now, baby Keith was brought in with a deep cut below his eye and bruises on his back and was being treated for his injuries.
Well, it emerged today that the elephant died after suffering a fatal bout of pneumonia.
Brought him in on the 29th April. He had to undergo tests. Upon going through some of the test samples were taken of his blood, urine, fecal, and other samples, we discovered that he had advanced pneumonia. So we began to treat him on that, and unfortunately most of his lungs had already been damaged. So it was just a couple of more weeks, then we knew that he was not going to survive for long. Unlike before, when we thought maybe it was a poaching activity that had led to his abandonment, we discovered that he might have been born sick and they had realized that he was not going to survive, and so they pushed him out of the group. This is a normal elephant herd behavior.
Let's now take a look at more stories making the news across Uganda tonight. A fire broke out at Chibibi Junior School, claiming the life of a 10-year-old pupil. Property was also destroyed in the girls' dormitories.
The fire started from the window. The children have explained to us that they had somebody hitting the window, and that's where the fire started from.
Police say they are investigating the cause of the blaze.
Unfortunately, we believe Lukonge, a matron of this dormitory, was a little reluctant. These are young children who we believe could have been or would have been in the company of their matron in this dormitory, but she did not do her part. At that time, the matron could have not been in the room. Probably she had gone out since it was coming to the morning, at about the time the fire began. We have her, not arrested, but one to help in the investigations. A lady only identified as Lukonge, who is a matron of these young children in Chibibi Primary School.
For now, though, the school has been closed indefinitely.
Meanwhile, residents of Chikandwa County in Mityana awoke to the shocking news of the death of 86-year-old Joseph Kazoku, whose body was found dumped in a maize plantation. It is alleged that Kazoku was murdered by one of his employees, who reportedly chopped off his head and arms and took all the money he had. It is also alleged that the altercation started after Kazoku paid only 5,000 shillings out of 15,000 that he owed his employee for services rendered.
Nsaliddwa nnyo kubanga muzeeyi wange ono abadde talina mpalana wabula olw'okubeera nti abavubuka batagala kukola mirimu na mikono gyabwe badde bamunoonyaako ssente.
Emily Tuhimbisibwe, the widow, said the two had always been at loggerheads with each other over pay. Police have taken the body for a post-mortem examination to establish the cause of death. Now, bicycles are an easy and fairly affordable means of transport for many Ugandans all over the country. Some people use them for recreation and sport. In the wild, there are over 1 billion bikes, all potential forms of employment for bike mechanics. Now, in Living Life Tonight, we meet one such mechanic in Kitgum district who thrives on repairing bicycles in a district where almost half the population of 240,000 people use bikes.
SLR Fair, it was called, and its inventor Comte Med de Sivrac of France is long dead. 222 years ago, one of the very first bicycles was invented. It was beautifully crafted, wooden, heavy, and not so easy to ride because it had no pedals, no steering wheels. Over time, it has greatly evolved, becoming a sophisticated innovation used by millions of people all over the world. In Uganda, it is a main means of transport embraced by many people in the north. This woman in Kitgum district dressed up in a suit to ride it, and so will others regardless of their attire. The same goes for men, for all kinds of tasks, and for a very few number of students, it is a treasure.
You should have to struggle very much to reach the same places with this bicycle.
And such struggles tire this 20-decade-old machine, and this is when we meet our mechanic, Bismarck Labanga, whose life depends on the evolutionalized bike's breakdown. He is a mechanic, and his search for money starts every day at 8 a.m.
I talk with our language, vernacular.
Bismarck is shy when we try to engage in conversation with him about his trade, but as we watch him work, it seems like he talks to his machines and they talk back. Now is an opportune moment to engage him.
This is Silver. I'm now working here to make a bicycle. Started from morning to sunset. I do it 5 to 10 bicycles.
These toolboxes contents cost Bismarck roughly 120,000 shillings, about $50 US, and he keeps them under lock and key.
We are buying from Lera, from Gulu, and then Kitgum.
For Bismarck, the hardest challenge he finds doing this business is connecting the wheel to the gear.
In what he calls wheel alignment, this will take him 2 to 3 hours, mending a whole bike. It is definitely not an ABC recital.
All of things is not easy.
Since this is his first bicycle for the day and he has 2 more hours of work on it, like any other human, he breaks off for tea. Impatiently he waits for service, and when it's given, the milk tea is steaming hot, but he gulps it. He can't hurry enough to go balance his work in the 10 hours it is to be executed before he retires. This breakfast costs him 3,000 shillings compared to lunch, which costs no more than 2,000 shillings.
A whole bicycle, how much do you charge someone?
15,000.
For other services other than a whole repair, he charges various prices ranging from 1,000 shillings depending on the damage. Bismarck has been in the business for 10 years and he says he received training for 2 years from a technical institute sponsored by the International Rescue Committee based in Kitgum.
How are the customers? Do they pay?
The same date, there's no problem.
But sometimes business is slow despite the large number of bicycle users in the area. Some do repairs once a month depending on the journeys they take. And there is some competition as well. The end of the day draws near and the 35-year-old father of 2 gets ready to go home. His bicycle, the first for the day to be repaired, is complete and stands here waiting for the owner who will give Bismarck 15,000 shillings for his efforts.
In weeks, 20, 50 to 100.
These plus other small repairs he did for the day will ensure that he goes home with at least 40,000 shillings. It was a good day and at 6 p.m. he sets off for home. His means of transport is not surprisingly a bicycle. The ride to his home in Kitgum quarters takes no more than 6 minutes from his workplace in the town. And no sooner does he reach home than does his oldest son, a primary 5 pupil from Kitgum Public School. The younger one is in primary 3. Since they go to a public school, Bismarck only spends 30,000 shillings per term on them when he pays a PTA, Parent and Teacher Association fee. The children's mother stays in a village and farms to contribute to the family's income. Bismarck's sister helps with the household chores. Supper preparation implies that the day is done and Bismarck will go to bed praying for another day to break with more customers as he secretly thanks the inventor of the bicycle. Florence Nalimba, NTV.
Thank you, Florence. Now, in other news, 3 days of national mourning have begun in Nigeria for more than 150 people killed when their plane crashed in the main city of Lagos. The Boeing MD-83 plowed into a printing works and residential buildings before bursting into flames. Rescue workers who worked throughout the night are still searching for more bodies.
On board the aircraft died. There were also casualties on the ground, but it is not yet known how many people were killed. The airliner, operated by Lagos-based company Dana Air, had flown in from the capital Abuja when it crashed and burst into flames on Sunday. The plane came down in the Iju area just north of the airport. Aviation Minister Stella Odua said that the pilot contacted the Lagos Control Tower to declare an emergency 11 nautical miles away from the runway. After the crash, local residents flocked to the plane's wreckage, some trying to help by putting out fires. This morning, there was some unrest at the site as some people tried to loot, leading to clashes with soldiers. At one point, police were forced to fire tear gas at the crowd.
All right, we're going to take a very short break, but before we do, Joel Kamadi is joining us for NTV Business.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Gabriel. I was just looking at that footage of the crash, and actually officials said they're glad, not that they're happy, but they're glad it didn't happen on a weekday because many people were not in office.
Many more casualties.
Yeah.
The building that it crashed into.
Yeah, exactly. People were away for the weekend. So Nigeria is a country with a lot of plane crashes and lately also bomb attacks. Yeah, so it's very unfortunate for this country.
Well, we'll have a look at that later. But away from that, tonight in business, transporters of cargo and passengers in and out of South Sudan have threatened to suspend movement into that market starting this Friday. I'll be telling you why in NTV Business up next.
A leader has to take tough choices and decisions. However unpopular it has to be, you have to take it because you are not in a popularity contest.
NTV. This is 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 NTV.
Good evening, I'm Joel Kamadi and welcome to NTV Business. Tonight, transporters of cargo and passengers in and out of South Sudan have threatened to suspend movement into that market starting Friday, owing to harassment. Ntege Walusimbi, the chairman of the Uganda Traders Association in South Sudan, has also urged the Uganda government to press President Salva Kiir to prevail on his errant soldiers, whom they accuse of perpetuating the violence against the traders.
This market of South Sudan generates at least above $1.3 billion for Uganda each year, derived from trade in diverse spectrum of goods and services, even though the world's youngest economy remains largely unstructured. Now these cargo and passenger bus transporters are up in arms at what they call perpetual harassment from errant soldiers in South Sudan, which they claim are disrupting their business interests.
We have the bus drivers, we have the lorry drivers, we have the traders, we have the long distance lorry drivers. We are all putting down our tolls.
They also say that they're exceedingly frustrated by their members in South Sudan being snatched off their hard-earned money, part of the reasons forming the basis of this Friday's sit-down strike.
Kati musango gufutamanyi president wa Sudani ye alagira abantu be aba Sudani okuvunana banna Uganda okutambula ne sente mu nsawo.
Now, the International Monetary Fund says the anticipated slowdown in Uganda's growth rate to under 3.2% will further hurt the country's service delivery system most. IMF's President Representative Thomas Richardson says that the slowdown is likely to reduce the country's revenue collection and thus hinder the capacity to deliver essential services.
The International Monetary Fund is cautioning that a host of interventions will be required by government of Uganda if the country's economic growth, estimated at 3% by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, is to be reversed.
In the long run, you can't have growth without low inflation. We don't know of any countries that grow on a sustained basis with high and variable inflation. Inflation is so destructive to growth and destructive to investment that you really have to bring it under control.
Thomson Richardson, the senior resident representative for Uganda, adds that with inflation still up in double digits, its ripple effects to the business community may affect returns on trade and commerce.
To see what's happening in Greece and Europe, things are really pretty pretty traumatic, pretty difficult. And so there's a real concern at that level, and that's having some impact on demand for Ugandan exports and therefore on growth.
Experts are also in agreement that issues such as the weak employment window and farm productivity will slow down growth.
So there is a lot of work to do at the macro level. And so long as we don't have enough money to inject into the productive sector, then we are going to have monetary policy overburdened. What should have been short term becomes perpetual, you know.
These officials were speaking at the launch of the 2012 Regional Economic Outlook for Sub-Saharan Africa at Makerere Economic Policy Research Center. Reina Ogen, NTV Business.
And finally, in NTV Business for tonight, on the international scene, oil fell for a fifth day in New York to the lowest price in almost 8 months on signs of an economic slowdown in the US and China. London traded Brent crude dropped from the lowest close in more than a year. For July delivery lost as much as $2.2 to $81.2 a barrel in electronic trading on the New York Mercantile Exchange, and futures tumbled as much as 2.4% to the lowest price since October 6th, extending last week's 8.4% decline. This is after US unemployment rose and payrolls increased less than the most pessimistic forecasts. At the same time, China's Purchasing Managers Index for non-manufacturing industries fell to the lowest level in a year, according to China's National Bureau of Statistics and China Federation of Logistics and Purchasing. This, coupled with the failure by European leaders to come up with solutions for the region's debt crisis, has made analysts pessimistic on the outlook of oil demand this year. Analysts also contend that crude oil consumption will contract in advanced economies even as demand grows in Asia and the Middle East. And that winds up NTV Business for tonight. Back to you, Gabriel and Rachel.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, coming up after the break is NTV Sport.
This is NTV. 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 This is NTV.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Sport. First night middle distance athlete Janet Ochola has been voted the sports personality for the month of May during the Nile Special Uganda Sports Press Association meeting held at Lugogo. Now Ochola garnered 750 votes against 660 and 605 for footballer Robert Sentongo and rugby star Marvin Odong respectively.
Achola made a run of her life during the Fanny Blanc Cohen Games in Holland last month and hit the qualification mark for this year's London Olympic Games. The middle distance athlete also regained her national record. She lost to Annette Negesa in 2010. It is against this backdrop that the Uganda Sports Press Association has rewarded the youngster with the Sports Personality for the Month accolade. Achola was given 750 points in the competition that involved footballer Robert Sentongo and rugby player Marvin Odong. Sentongo, who has helped URA to a number of Uganda Super League victories, could only raise 660 points against 605 for rugby player Marvin Odong. Motorsport driver Duncan Mubiru and golfer Adolf Mumuza were commended for their performance during the month.
Now, the battle for the best kickboxer in Uganda returns next month at the Lugogo Indoor Stadium, once again between national title holder Titus Tugume and Malik Kalisa. The fight is a rematch from the last encounter in which Tugume floored Kalisa. Although Kalisa has promised to speak from the ring, his opponent Tugume is not ready to spare him at any front.
Kalisa is in trouble. I'm assuring you, my supporters, this time there is no joke. I'm not joking with Kalisa. This time he's going to fail in the punches and kicks of the Ukraine guy who has been coming.
This time the fight is going to be scheduled at the MTN Arena in Lugogo. I don't expect any of those issues to arise, and like I've told you, I'm having good coaches, and my strategy is to win this fight with the least effort put in.
Now, embattled Singo County have discovered a new lease of life in this year's Masaza Cup Championships after registering a 5-0 victory over defending champions Buluri County. The game played at Michiana took place in the absence of the home side head coach Waswa Bosa, who recently survived being beaten up by the fans. Now, the fans accused Waswa Bosa of failing their team, and Singo had played 3 games without a win, including the embarrassing 2-1 defeat to Buwekula in the opening match of the tournament. The Kabaka Ronald Mwenda Muteri presided over the match played in Michiana town. And that winds up NTV Sport for tonight. Thanks for watching. Let's now take a look at Tuesday's weather forecast.
Let's take you back to tonight's NTV poll, and we asked you, was the leader of the opposition right to sack opposition party members who participated in the election of IALA members? The final poll result is out. 65% of our respondents tonight are saying yes, you agree that the opposition leader in parliament was right, while 35% of you say no.
All right, thank you so much for all your comments tonight. Let's quickly sample some of those before we say goodbye. And we have Kamwezi simply saying no, FDC does not own the opposition. This is Alex from Kamwezi, rather.
Winter Ricky, you say yes, he was right. They proved to be selfish and only wanting to get into the East African Legislative Assembly, which is pathetic.
All right, Joseph as well saying no, that was backward politics.
Well, Felix Ramafa Turakira, you simply say he was 100% right.
All right. Thank you once again for all your responses to tonight's NTV poll. I'll be back later on at 11 to bring you a final roundup of all the news stories today.
But for now, it's thank you for watching NTV Tonight. Please do stay tuned. I am Gabriel Apel.
I am Rachel Arinitwe. Have a good night.
This is NTV. This is NTV. This is NTV.